And basically, what I do is I help people, I help clients to achieve their financial goals. If you want to go into investments, I can help you, advise you on what to do, how to do what to do. And then aside that, also turn people's dreams into addresses with the MRIEF plan. So just give me some minutes while I share my screen. I believe my screen is up. Please confirm to me that you can see my screen.
Is it your phone
Yes.
you are using to share?
Oh, wait. Yeah, we can see.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes,
yes, we can
please.
see it.
Okay.
Yeah, your voice is
So
actually a bit low. One of the participants is saying that they can't hear you clearly. I was first thinking it was my speaker.
okay, how about now?
It's
Can you hear
better.
me clearly?
Yes, better. Yeah.
Okay. So I have a slide that I prepared over the night yesterday. So please, I just had to do it in a haste so that I don't come here blabbing. And I would make it as simple as I'll make it as simple as ABC. So first off, what is MRIF? So MRIF is two acronyms. That's MOFI, Ministry of Finance Incorporated. Then the RIF, that's Finance Incorporated. Then the RIF, that's Real Estate Investment Fund. So moving on to my next slide. MRIF is it is an on-lending partnership scheme that facilitates home loan solutions for employees, self-employed Nigerians, and those in the diaspora. So that's MRIF. Um, like the explanation I gave earlier, MOFI, that's Ministry of Finance Incorporated Funds, Real Estate Fund. So what this scheme is trying to achieve is to solve the problem of the housing issues in Nigeria. Take for example those that are in Lagos. I'm assuming that participants here are not just only people in Lagos, probably were all around the country or even outside the country. Take for example those in Lagos. We know that getting a property to rent, getting the right property we want to rent is work, and getting it at a good price is work also. That's because we have a housing deficit issue in Nigeria. So the aim of this help with the deficit issue. So currently, if you want to get a mortgage in any commercial bank, you would have to go with the prevailing rate of MPR, and currently MPR is at 27%. So you won't get lesser than 27%. But in March last year, that's when MRIF came into play, and the interest really started with 12%. We've been making tremendous progress with MRIF, and currently I can tell you that the interest rate is 9.75%. At first, the interest rate was 12%, equity contribution was 20%. Then we had to, there was a rearranging of the whole scheme, and they had to match
Looks like we've lost Mr. Richard. Let's give him a few minutes to probably be able to join back in. Possibly having a network challenge.
Sorry, I guess I was thrown out.
Yes, you were. We lost you for a few minutes there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Let me share
Okay.
my
All
screen.
right. Okay, please, yes, go ahead.
Hello, am I being heard?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, all this while I've been talking, I thought I was being okay. How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
Okay. So let me start from beginning. Let me start from beginning. So MRIF is the word MRIF is from two acronym, MOFI and the RIF, that's Real Estate Investment Fund. So the MOFI stands for Ministry of Finance Incorporated. When you join there, we have MRIF, that's Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Funds. So these funds are intended to solve the issues that we're facing in Nigeria, the housing deficit issues we're facing in Nigeria. So currently, the commercial rate for lending for mortgage in Nigeria is currently minimum of 27% because it is guided by MPR, and MPR the recent MPR rate is 27%. So if any bank is going to give you any mortgage facility, they to give it to you above 27%. So MRIF is giving you at 9.75% and with a minimum equity of 10%, 10% contribution. So the documents that are required for you, the documents we recognize, the document that are recognized for MRIF, there are several of them, but I'll just mention the four that you would mostly find. You either get certificate of occupancy, registered deed of assignment, registered deed of sublease, registered deed of conveyance. So any of these four documents, once you have any of these documents, that's that qualifies as particular property. And the property that are being financed by MRIEF, it's 80% completed. It has to be at least 80% completed or a fully completed home. So MRIEF fund is not for business, it's for home ownership. You can buy a home and then get to turn it into a self-service apartment. That's still home. It falls under the jurisdiction of home, but you cannot go and get the fund to buy a warehouse. It doesn't fall under the category of home. So whatever property you're buying with the MRIEF fund, it has to serve the major purpose, that's home ownership. Please let me know if I'm audible.
You're audible. We can hear you.
Okay. So who is eligible for the home loan? Employed and self-employed individuals in Nigeria and employee in the diaspora. So this fund is, every Nigeria is qualified for this fund. Every Nigeria is qualified. However, not every Nigerian is eligible. And eligibility is a function of your net income, your current age, and the amount of the property. So the minimum salary for you to earn, or the minimum income you're to make per month for you to be eligible for MRIEF, it's 500,000 or its equivalent for those in the diaspora. So for self-employed, you need to have at least a minimum turnover of 100 million. Turnover is different from profit. That's your sales, inflow, both inflow and outflow. It has to be a minimum of 100 per annum. So that's it. And then the minimum you can get, the minimum and maximum loan amount you can get from MRIEF is from 10 million up to 100 million. So anything above 100 million will be co-funded by the bank. So take, for example, the property you want to purchase is 150 million, would finance 100 million at the interest rate of 9.75, and then the balance after removing equity. Mind you, you are required to bring a minimum of 10% equity contribution. So would assume that you're bringing 10%. You can actually do more than 10%. So let's take, for example, you want to purchase a property of 150 million. Would finance 100 million at 9.75 because MRIEF covers to the tune of 100 million. So you get 9.75 for MRIEF, and then after removing the equity contribution of 15 million, the balance of 35 million will be financed at the bank prevailing rate, which is at 28% at the moment. So that is what you can get. So that's the minimum is 110 million, and then the maximum under MRIEF is 100 million. Please note that the bank's prevailing rate doesn't have maximum. If your salary, that's if your net income or your business, your income is enough to take on that facility, we're gladly to finance that property for you. So the next thing is for the employees in 250 months. That's a maximum of 20 years. And in calculating that years, would minus your current age from 60. So if you're 40 years, you have 20. That's the whole of the 240 months. If you're 45 minus 60 will give you 15 years. That's the maximum you can get is 15. We won't go beyond 15 because your current age, the current balance between your age and 60 it's 15, so we'll go with 15. So for those less than 40, we'll go with 20. So for those in diaspora, it's 180 months. That's 15 years. That's the maximum you can get for MRIEF for those outside Nigeria. Then for self-employed in Nigeria is 84 months. So moving on to my next slide. So I mentioned earlier that you're expected to bring a minimum of 10% equity contribution. So do I have to make a deposit to access the MRIEF home loan? The answer is yes. So the deposit is also known as equity contribution, and it's a minimum of 10%. And the good news for employees in Nigeria, in 2022, PENCOM, that's the body that regulates the pension scheme in Nigeria, came up with a policy that employees can access 25% of their pension balance for the purpose of getting a home. So the bank can also assist you to get 25% from your pension to fund that property, to help you to add it to your equity contribution. So us in Stanbic, because sometimes it takes a lot of time for you to get your pension fund paid into your account, we would then proceed to give you an advance, and then when your pension fund is released into your accounts, we make settlement instantly. So next slide. So for MRIEF, you can get it a loan, you can apply a loan, and then you can also do joint application. That it has to be spouse joint application. So for those outside Nigeria, maybe you're in a country where there is a law that permits male and male marrying, male and female female and female marrying, it won't count here, because the law in Nigeria states that such kind of relationship is not legal. So it has to be the normal one we know here in Nigeria. So the spouse has to be a male and a female. And to prove that, in the case where the surnames are not the same, you'd have to give us a marriage certificate to prove that both of you are spouse. So to the next one, what are the approved locations for the home loan? All the whole 36 states in Nigeria, including federal capital territory, that's Abuja. So once you get a property that has the required documents that I listed earlier, certificate of occupancy, registered deed of assignment, registered deed of sublease, or a registered deed of conveyance, then we can then proceed to finance that property anywhere in Nigeria. It has to be anywhere in Nigeria. It can be in your village, it can be in the city, it can be in Kano State, it can be in Port Harcourt, Lagos, so whatever that property is. But please note that the property has to be a minimum of 80% completed for us to be able to finance it. Then to my next slide, requirements for employed applicants. So for MRIEF, you're going to need a current account. So the first thing is to have a current account with the bank. Then if you are an employee of an organization, you then give us a letter of introduction from your employer, and the letter of introduction should state the following. Number one, that you're a permanent staff. In the case where you're not a permanent staff, let's say you're a contract staff, it should state the term of your contract. How long is your contract? And for example, if your contract is for 10 years, renewable every 10 years, it should state that your contract is renewable every 10 years and the last time it was renewed, so that we would know how to structure the loan for that person. And then for those that work in a financial organization, let's take for example, probably there's someone here working in a commercial bank, and your bank would not allow you to domicile your salary in Stanbic. It's okay. For those that work in a financial firm where their organization don't allow them to domicile salary in another bank, it's okay. And then probably for those also that they are in an organization that the rule or the policy there is that you have to open a certain bank account from a bank. So for those ones, for you to be able to get MRIEF, you'd have to also access your pension. That's the only time you can be able to get MRIEF for us. So the letter of introduction should state your nature of employment, if you're fully employed or you're a contract staff, and then it should also state that your salary will be paid. However, there are instances where your salary will not be domiciled with Stanbic IBTC, which I mentioned earlier. So in the case where you're working for a financial firm, a microfinance bank, a commercial bank, a mortgage bank, and it is expected that your salary will be paid into their account domicile with them, in that case, you don't have to domicile salary. And if you're accessing pension, you also don't have to domicile salary. Anything outside these conditions, your introduction letter must state that your salary will be domiciled with Stanbic IBTC Bank. Then the next document you'd give to us is 3 months recent pay slips. So you give us 3 months recent pay slips, and for example, you don't have a bank account with Stanbic, you don't have a salary account with Stanbic, you then have to give us 6-month bank statement of your salary account. Then for those that are accessing their pension, you would have to give us 1 year bank of your pension RSA statement if the facility is RSA backed. Then you give us your work ID card, then 50 by 50 passport photograph, 6 copies, valid means of identification. Of course, your NIN is there, then international passport or a driver's license. So for self-employed, number one, a Naira current account with Stanbic IBTC Bank. Then you need to give us your company corporate profile. It has to include the management team profile. So for those that their business is registered under, this requirement is only for those that their business is registered under enterprise. If your business is registered under limited liability, will not be able to deal, because the current law in Nigeria states that a business cannot, you can't use a limited liability is an entity of its own. We will treat the business as an individual. So for those that their business are registered under limited liability, the director or one of part of the director cannot use the fund of the business to get a property for themselves, except the business is the one getting the property for the director. So let's take, for example, the business wants to get a property for the director. That property would have to, the property name would have to be in the business name, and when it's in the business name, will not be able to deal. Would have to push it to commercial. It won't fall under personal banking, so you will not be able to get MRIEF. So for self-employed, your business has to be registered under enterprise, and under enterprise, you'd give us your company corporate profile that includes management team profile, 2 years audited financial statement, management accounts for the current period, cash flow projection of the business in Excel format, and your corporate bank statement for 12 months. And then like I said earlier, you have to have a turnover of 100 million and certified true copy of your CAC. We need to see the original copy of your CAC. Same thing with this employed, 50 by 50. That's the size of the passport, has to be 50 by 50. Give us 6 copies. Valid means of ID, NIN slip, international passport, or a driver's license. So for those in the diaspora, in addition to whatever I have here, if you're in the diaspora, you'd give us your resume, updated resume, your work permit. If you're not yet a citizen, you'd either give us your work permit, or you give us a valid ID card of that country. So take, for example, let's say you live in the UK and you have a British passport. You don't have to provide a work permit because you're already a citizen with the country. So for those in the diaspora, in addition to these 8 requirements, you'd have to give us letter of recommendation from a recognized body. You give us letter of recommendation, and then you give us credit report. Because you're not in Nigeria, we'll not be able to do a credit report, a detailed credit report for you. So we'd also want to do a credit report for you over there. So the recognized credit reports that we recognize, FICO, Equifax, and Experian. So you give us a recent credit report. So in addition to all this, for those that are in the diaspora, probably you have a relative abroad, they can actually get MRIEF. So what they will do is they will give us an introduction letter from their employer, and then they will also give us a letter of recommendation. They give us their CV, they will give us their pay slip, they will also give us letter credit reports, that and the registered the recognized credit reports, that the credit report that we here in Stanbic is either give us Equifax, FICO, or Experian. So moving on to the cost implications. The reason why I would advise you to do a mortgage with Stanbic is because we ensure we do due diligence. So this will bring me into the cost implications. So for those in Lagos, for property in Lagos, we'll do what they call chatting. We've seen scenarios whereby property is registered under Mushin, and then that same property is situated at Agege. So charting is to tell us the coordinates of those of that property. So the charting report will reveal the coordinate of the property. Please note that charting is only done in Lagos. So we do valuation, as the name states, valuation. We send estate valuers to go and get the real value of that property, the estimated value at the point in time, so that you're not buying a property that is overpriced. You're not buying a property that is overpriced. So that's the reason why we do valuation. We'd also do what we call search and verification. So for search, would check if that property has been used by someone in the past as collateral, and if that property is still in use, so that you don't get we check if there's encumbrance on that title document, so that you don't get to find yourself in a situation whereby you're buying a property that has been pledged as a collateral. So we'll do search, we'll also do verification. Verification is to ensure that the title document that is being presented is the original title document. So at a point in time, the seller, that's the, let me use the word assigner, the assigner would have to provide the original title document at the land and registry where that property is registered. So take for example, if the property is registered, present it to the land and registry, so that we can compare with what is at land and registry. So that's for verification. So another thing you would have to pay for is insurance. We're insuring the property, and we're also insuring the mortgagee. So the bank is the mortgagor and you are the mortgagee. So we're insuring the mortgagee's life. In the case where something happens to the mortgagee, the person is permanently disabled, the insurance would then cover for the loan. The insurance company would pay off that loan amount completely. They will also insure the property from fire, earthquakes. The property insurance is very, very comprehensive. So you'd also pay for insurance. And another thing you'd pay for is perfection. This is actually the most expensive thing you're paying for, and it depends on the state. For Lagos State, it's quite cheap. Ogun, Port Harcourt, Oyo, and Abuja are quite expensive. So because they are expensive, there's the bank has made an arrangement for you. So what we'll do is you can pay a minimum of 40% of the perfection fee, and then we spread the rest for you in 6 installments. So you pay them in 6 months, pay them in 6 installments. So if you can't pay once, so is the bank helping that title in your name. So when you're done paying for that property, we're giving you a title that is registered in your name. You're not buying we're not just only giving you, you're not just only buying a property, we're also giving you peace of mind. I would always tell people that we're giving you peace of mind. So at the end of it, we're giving you a title document that is registered. If we're giving you a deed of assignment, it must have governor's consent. So we would then proceed to register it for you. So that's the reason why you're paying for perfection. So those are the cost implications for you getting this MRIEF. And aside that, I would also mention the charges for MRIEF. So for us, we charge you 1% on all loans, 1% management fee on all loans. So what this means is, for example, if you're getting 150 million, that's 100 for MRIEF, 50 million extra at the bank's prevailing rate, would give you 1% is 1.5 million. That's for 150. So because the funds is not coming from the bank, and what we are gaining from MRIEF, it's 1% advisory fee. So we charge you an extra for MRIEF, 1% advisory fee. So those are the cost implications. Please, the bank is going to charge you, which is 1% management and 1% advisory fee only on MRIEF. Would also be charged, is VAT inclusive, so would charge you for management fee, would charge you for advisory fee, and then also charge you for VAT. It's VAT inclusive. So that brings me to the end of my slide. Available to entertain any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was quite detailed. I mean, that was really detailed. So, do we have any questions from anyone? Would you like any clarifications on anything that Richard has mentioned here? If you have a question, you can raise up your hand or you can drop it in the chat room. We'll just take those questions very quickly. Do we have any questions?
Okay, my hand is up. I guess you can't see the hand.
Okay, yes, your hand is up. Okay, I couldn't see that. I was just looking to all right, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think your background is a bit noisy. Thank you very much, Richard, for the insightful presentation. It was quite detailed, really. My first question is this: if someone has an ongoing mortgage, can the person still partake from MRIEF?
Your first question, do you mind giving me all the questions so that I answer your questions at once?
Okay, so if somebody has an ongoing mortgage, can the person partake from MRIEF? The second one is, I hear you that the properties have to be at least 80% completed or totally completed. So I wanted to know, do you have list of properties that you like, estates or something that have registered with you that people can actually check, or people have to go and do their due diligence by themselves and bring the estates, or do you recommend properties? That's the second question. The third question, I'm not very clear about the percentage, that 1%. If you said the maximum is 100 million loan, so if one takes maybe like a 70 million loan or an 80 or 50 million loan, will the person still be paying Stanbic 1%? Those are my three questions for now.
Thank you. So your first question is, if you have an existing mortgage, can you still get MRIEF? Yes.
Yeah.
For every Nigerian, the maximum you get 100 million for once in a lifetime. So once you've exhausted that 100 million, you can't get MRIEF again. So if the mortgage that you took, you got it through MRIEF, and you've exceeded that 100 million, no, you can't. But if you've not used MRIEF, when you got that mortgage, you didn't use MRIEF, of course you can get it, so long your salary, that's your net income, because commercial banks would not charge you above 45% of your earnings to service your loan facility. So that's the answer for that question. So you asked if we have list of properties. Yes, we do. On the Stanbic IBTC MRIEF website, we have list of properties. You could even just go search with location. You can also go search with your budget. Probably you could go, you put the amount of property you want to get and the location. So, and also you can also go and look for a property yourself. We don't have to.
So
It's
please,
not.
sorry to cut in. Would appreciate if you can share with us the website so that we
I
can
will.
share it to our
I'll share.
community.
I'll share it
Then
too.
just to quickly chip in, because I don't want you to lose track, sorry. So for your list of properties, that means that if someone sees a property that interests them on your list of properties, then the person will not have to pay for due diligence and all of that again. Is that correct?
For due diligence, all those due diligence. So the agents we work with, they are not Stanbic, so we still have to carry that due diligence. We
Uncle
verify
Richard is
everything.
already on your website now. You've already done the due diligence. Okay, but okay, I hear you. No problem.
We
We'll
still
take
have to
it up.
do the due diligence.
Okay, sir.
So your last question,
You said there's a 1%
your last
charge.
question, you said percentage. So for the percentage, like I mentioned, for all our loans, there is one management fee is on all loans. And I gave you a scenario whereby if you're getting 150 million, that's 100 million for MRIEF and then the extra 50 million from Stanbic. We'll charge you 1% on all loans. That's the 50 million and the 100 million. That's 1.5. Then we charge you 1% advisory. Advisory is only on MRIEF. That's 1%. So let's take, for example, the person is getting just 40 million. We charge the person 1% management fee million, which should be 400,000. Then we charge the person an additional 1% advisory, that 100,000.
Okay,
A total
that's
of
clear.
800,000.
Okay, that's clear. Okay, thank you. Other hands are up. You have like 2 hands up. Thank you.
Okay, so okay, Madam Susan, you can go ahead and ask the question.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I can hear you. Please ask the question.
Okay, thank you so much for this this presentation. I want to thank the conveners for making this available for us. And then I also want to thank Mr. Richard for the presentation. I have a question and maybe, should I say a report or something? I want you to follow up. Let me go with the question first. If one has not taken a mortgage before, I have not mortgage before, is it possible to, I don't know, is there a way I can access the mortgage and with whatever I need to do with the MREF? That's one. Then secondly, that's the follow-up I need now is on MREF. Last year, when MREF began, I put in for it. And I think everything was going smoothly until it was time for inspection, site inspection. Someone had called me, I'd received a mail, and somebody was supposed to take me to site. And that's all. I've not heard from them again. Please, can you do a follow-up? Then, if this mortgage combination is possible, I'd like to see how I can assess it to be able to make MREF work better for me.
Sorry, please, do you
Thank
mind
you.
reframing your first question? You said if you've not taken mortgage before, or
Yes, I've not assessed mortgage before. I work with an
then
organization,
you can take MRIEF.
and my mortgage. Okay, now you know that that mortgage, there's this deduction monthly from our salaries for mortgage and then our
NHF, you
own
mean?
equity contribution. Yes, NHF, yes. Can we combine NHF with mortgage?
Sincerely, I don't know. I don't know how best I can answer this, but let me answer it this way. The truth
Alright.
is, I've never seen someone that has gotten NHF. It's political for NHF for you to get funds from NHF. It's rather political because the funds are not very available. If you get NHF, for example, if you want to buy a property, sold that property before you even get the funds in your account. However, you can get MRIEF, and then when the NHF funds are being paid into your account, you then use it to liquidate MRIEF, because I know NHF fund is cheaper. So 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 the best thing to do is to get the MRIEF while you still process NHF, and then when you get the funds, you use it to liquidate MRIEF. I also didn't mention, sorry, let me mention. So in Stanbic, probably someone would want to ask. In Stanbic, we encourage pre-liquidation. You can liquidate before time. Our repayment schedule is structured in such a way that interest is charged at the existing balance of the principal. It's called reducing balance method. So we would charge you interest for the remaining balance of the principal. So for each month, so let's take for example, you take 100 million, and you want to do it for 10 years. That's a total of 120 months. We're going to divide that 100 million by 120. So there is a certain amount of the principal you pay every month. So for each month that you make a payment for that principal, we minus that amount from the principal you've paid, and then we charge you interest on the existing balance. So in the case where you have let's say excess cash, maybe you have like 2-3 million, you can just tell us, liquidate part of my loan. So when we 3 million, the interest we're charging you is on the balance of the principal. So we encourage pre-liquidation. The only downside or the flip side of this repayment structure is that when you miss payment, the interest would not add to the principal. So instead of you to get should I use a divider effect, you get a multiplication effect, because the interest is now part of the principal. And then I would like to ask, the MRIEF, I think you enrolled that you applied for MRIEF on MRIEF site. So currently in Nigeria, the organizations that I'm sure that are registered under MRIEF for commercial banks are Access and Stanbic IBTC Bank. And I can tell you for a certainty that we in Stanbic, we finished the fund MRIEF gave to us last year. The pull up naira, and I think they gave us a sum of 100 billion. We finished it from March till December. There was a call booked for early this year, that's in January. He had to take it at the bank prevailing rate, and when the MRIEF funds came, we now reprice at MRIEF interest rates. So I think,
Please go ahead.
yeah, I can hear
I said,
you.
does that explain why the person never came up to the site visitation didn't happen again?
I guess so. Probably you didn't go through a commercial bank. Probably so they will do all they can, and then they will push your application to any of the mortgage firm. They either push it to us or they push it to any mortgage firm. But I can tell you that in the market currently, we have the best turnaround time. The turnaround time is 10 working days. That's 2 weeks. I can tell you for a certainty that we can even do it in 5 working days if we get everything that we need. If everything is available, for example, search reports, valuation reports, if we can get them in 2 days, then we can disburse in 5 working days.
So if you are out of cash now.
No, we are not. We've gotten more funds.
All right.
We've gotten more
Okay.
funds this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Please, let's note that Mr. Richard works with Stanbic IBTC. He doesn't work with MREF. This is MREF from Stanbic IBTC. So he might not be able to answer your general MREF questions, but he'll be able to answer your MREF questions that have to do with Stanbic IBTC. Okay. All right. Yes, Mrs. Adatunde, please go ahead.
Okay, my hand is up again. Thank you so much, Susan and Richard, for that engaging conversation. Yes, so the mortgage I was trying to speak about was the NHF. Like, if you have an NHF loan, can you still access MRIEF loan? And I hear you said yes, it's two different things, and this goes to people on the call. One of the things we've observed about government interventions, or as life generally is a function of first come, first serve. The people that come in earlier quickly access it. When NHF first started, a lot of people got it too. A lot of people, I can say for a fact, people got it, but it looks as if it was getting more difficult over the years. So please, this MRIEF thing, and that's why we brought in an expert to come and educate us. Now, on a flip side, and please, I would love for you to really clarify this for us, because we have a lot of people that are very trepidative about loans, and understandably so. So we know that there's nothing like job security. There's job stability, there's no job security. Nobody knows tomorrow. In event of a default, so let me even assume that I take the loan and for 6 years you've been repaying, no problem. If you default for like 3 months, 4 months, what happens to default? What happens to the money you've paid? How exactly is this structured? Would want to know, because we know part of the fears people have about taking loans. If you are building by yourself, if you don't have money, you can sit down. But if you have a mortgage, you must service it every month. If something happens, and we equally have self-employed people here, if something happened and they can't, and they default, what happens after that? What is the grace? How is the structure? And all of that. Thank you very much. That would be my second question, or third or fourth question now. Thank you.
Okay, so like I mentioned, part of what the cost implications, I mentioned that you property and yourself. So the insurance doesn't only cover permanent disability, it also covers job loss. So for job loss, for insurance to cover job loss, the person has to probably the reason why the person lost the job is because the firm is reducing staff, not that the person lost his job or her job due to lack of performance or bad behavior. If you lose your job because of bad behavior and your performance is poor, insurance would not cover. But if you lose your job, if you lose your job because the firm is restructuring and they are letting go of some staff, insurance will cover that facility for 6 months while you get a job. And currently, by law, there is a provision by law. So the bank will not just go and take ownership of your property. However, if you miss payment 2 months consecutively, would go and register. There's part of the document you're signing. There's a legal part of what you're signing. You sign a legal deed of assignment. We call it legal mortgage. So we then go and register it. What it means is that that's the reason why we do search. What it means is that if that particular property, we go and register it in land and registry. We tell them that okay, this person has pledged this property as collateral, and the person is not paying. So we start the process. However, we won't just take you out of we will not take ownership or possession of that property until several court proceedings until you decide. I would give you an example. It happened last year. I don't know if you heard about it. So it's between Fidelity Bank and an organization in Ibadan. So there's a firm that got a mortgage, they got a loan, and they used their property as collateral, and they defaulted. Fidelity Bank took them to court, won that case, and then they sold the property to an organization in Ibadan. But because the court did not give Fidelity Bank the right to evict those people from that property, the people Fidelity sold that property to couldn't take ownership. They couldn't use that property, and it's over 20 years, I guess. So there is actually, you're protected by law. However, we do it through legal means, and we pray that you don't default. The aim of everything is so that you pay up. And please bear in mind that this fund doesn't belong to the bank; it belongs to the government. And once there is default and that fund doesn't come back to the pool, another person would not be able to enjoy it. So the fund is available so that everyone can enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richard.
Okay. Thank you.
John Bosco, you have your hand up. I don't know if you still have a question to ask, or if a question is answered.
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Richard. My first question you already answered. That was around cost implication. But I wanted you to give us numerically, like numeric example. Say you take 100 million. The interest is it per year? And if you're calculating it, are we saying, okay, let's assume you pay 10 million out of the 100. Are you calculating the interest against 90 million for that year? Or what exactly is the calculation like? Do you get my question?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's one. The other one I wanted to ask you already answered the thought. This one I want to know what the
So, like I mentioned, for us, we use reducing balance repayment method. I can give you from the top of my head because I've done it several times. So, if you take 100 million, 9.75 for 20 years, you'd pay a total of 198 million. That's what you pay for 20 years. 100 million for 20 years. You pay a total of 198 million. So what it means is that the interest for that 20 years is 98%. If you punch your calculator, you would see that it's about 4.5% or 4.51% per annum. So that's what we charge you per annum. That is because it is reducing balance. It's not flat interest rate. On paper, we tell you it's 9.75, but by the time you do your calculation per annum, you pay 4.51 something because it's reducing balance. That's the reason why you're getting this. That it won't exceed 4.51 with some fractions. And like I explained earlier, if you miss payment, you would instead of you to enjoy the fact that the interest is divided into two, you would pay more. You could even extend to like 12%, because for each month that you don't pay, the interest adds to the principal. And then for us to calculate the next month's principal, we'll charge it at the current principal balance. I don't know if you understand. So like I mentioned, if you're taking for 100 years, taking 100 million, we'll divide that 100 million by 240 months. That's 20 years. We'll divide it by 240 months. It will give us equal payment for principal every month. So once your first repayment will be higher than the next repayment, it's reducing balance. It's expected that your repayment reduces every month. However, in Stanbic, interest is calculated on a daily basis. So let's take, for example, you got the loan today and you just hit one jackpot and you want to liquidate the loan that next day. All you just have to do is to pay today's interest. We charge you interest on a daily basis. So interest is charged on a daily basis at the current balance of the principal. I don't know if you understand if you get my answer.
Yeah. I get that. Thank you. I get that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Richard. Do we have any other questions? I can't see any hands up, and I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. So please, if you have any other question, you can raise with your hand, or you can drop the chat in the chat room, and then we'll just take that question. Okay, I have a question, Mr. Richard. You said that you could do like a joint, loan. So how does that work? Like, if you want to do a joint loan with your spouse, for example, how does that work to access that loan? Maybe. So if maybe putting your money together gives you higher opportunity, what's the process for getting a joint loan at the end of that?
Thank you. So for joint application, what it means is that, let's take for example both spouse are employed. So would evaluate each spouse individually, will get their pay slip to know how much they earn, and then will charge a certain percentage for each person. It's done based on how you earn. We will not charge you, like I mentioned, we will not charge you above 45%, because according to CBN policy, debt service ratio, that's the amount that we are allowed, that commercial banks are allowed to charge a customer to use for loan repayment, should not be more than 45%. So we take into cognizance your loan outside Stanbic. If you have existing facilities with probably mortgage banks, you have facility with a microfinance bank, we take into cognizance those loans, we'll factor it in, and then would ensure that whatever we are charging you is not above 45% of your net income for each spouse. So how it works is we evaluate everybody individually, but the repayment is done from both accounts. So where you would have issues is probably repayment date. So let's take for example, this husband receives salary on the 26th, wife receives salary on the 15th. So if the husband is the primary person, the wife receives before him, so she would have to, once she gets pay once she gets paid, she then have to transfer the money into the husband's account. So no, not the husband's account, repayment happens on both accounts. So if the repayment date would be based on the primary applicant's repayment date, we won't use would use the, because we're applying, the application will be submitted using one person, but the evaluation will be done evaluating individual. So repayment will be on a specific date, and we use the number one person's date. However, what this means is, on the title document, your name, both parties' name would show, and the principal person name comes first. We all know that in Nigeria, when it comes to sorry if I use this, I want to put this in. When it comes to divorce, in divorce, unlike the Western world where the woman gets 50% or a certain percentage of the of her husband's property, or maybe the richer person gets that's the person that is the person that doesn't have money would get a certain percentage from any of their spouse. It doesn't work here in Nigeria. How it works here in Nigeria is that you would only get the portion of what you contributed. So in the case where there is a dissolution, just in case someone wants to ask, in the case where there is a dissolution and we want to calculate how much this person is getting, the person would only get the amount that they paid. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. But is it the
So I can't hear you. Said
is it only spouses that can do partnership? It can't be like you come like a business partnership. It has to be like a husband
no, it
wife
has to be
partnership.
spouse, it has to be
Okay.
husband and wife.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? I'm not seeing any hands up. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. All right. Awesome. So I think we have kept very much to time with this conversation. And I believe it has been quite explanatory. So thank you so much for such an explanatory
I think
session.
sorry to jam in. I'm not
Okay.
sure I got the slide of what next. So for people that want to contact and all of that, can we reach out to Mr. Richard
Yes,
directly?
yes.
That.
Yes, no, I was going to just, I was going to go get to that. So, Mr. Richard, thank you so much. Please, we will be sharing, I don't know if it's okay to share your contact with our community, because we will have
Yes,
people that
it's
are
okay to
also
share my
interested.
contact.
All right. So I'll be sharing Mr. Richard's contact with the community so that you can reach out to him directly if you want to process this loan, if you want to start, go to definitely just loan. So if you don't need, we'll be able to reach out to Mr. Richard directly because I will be dropping his contacts on the group. Okay. So without any further ado, and if you don't have any more questions for Mr. Richard, I would like to thank you very much. I'm going to be playing a video about Glory to Glory. It seems everybody here though is already a member. But for people, Mr. Richard, if you want to join our community, this is Glory to Glory Cooperative. Please, you are very welcome because we actually need your expertise. We actually need this information. We need, people that will ginger us to actually make the money moves this year. So this is Glory to Glory if you would like to join our community. Mr. John Bosco, yes, you have a question.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if the record is provided, will you send it to us?
I will share the slides. I will be able to share the slides, but maybe not the recording, but I will be sharing the
It
slides.
is, I'm jamming in again. It's been recorded and it will be on our YouTube channel.
Yes, it will be on our YouTube channel. My apologies on that. It will be on our YouTube channel, which we'll share that. Which also will share that link. We'll share the link to our YouTube channel. I'll be sharing that on the chat right now, so that you can just go to our YouTube channel and you can actually just watch the replay on our YouTube channel. So I'm just going to share that right here. In the meantime, I will be playing the video about our cooperative.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm joining your community.
Please, you have to join our community. You have to. We need to have insider information so that when all these things are happening, we don't have to. Yeah, we can just come to the back of the house and say, Mr. Richard, how far? Come and help us with this thing. All right. Apologies on that.
With ease. Glory to Glory Cooperative is a trusted financial platform where you can save money, earn competitive interest, empower individuals with financial knowledge, get access to fast-track loan, and achieve long-term financial stability with ease, one intentional step at a time. Research has shown that 60% of people who belong to a money community hit their goals faster than those trying to figure it out alone. It's not magic, it's the reminders, the conversations, the gentle pressure, the shared wins. Something shifts when you're surrounded by people who are saving, investing, and making better decisions. You rise with them. At Glory to Glory, we have a track record of people that have had their financial stories changed over the years. irrespective of your gender, social status, geographical location. You can turn your financial dreams to a reality. Join us today.
All right, so that is Glory to Glory. I've dropped the link to our YouTube channel and also the link to our website on the group. If you want to ask further information, you can reach out. You can actually reach out to me. I'm also going to put my number. But like I said, most of our people here are community members. But like you guys will be dropping Mr. Richard's contact on the group. So if you want to find out, how to actually access it and you want to go through with it, then you'll be able to reach out to me directly. And if you have friends and family that are not on, you know that it's time to invite them. We are not playing here. We're getting things done. I want to say thank you to everyone that joined. Thank you for your time, Mr. Richard. Thank you so much. We really appreciate this time that you come spend with us. Thank you to everyone who continued this conversation on the group. I would say good night and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.